Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is part 2 of my Q&A for questions I'm answering regarding our grocery shopping and meal planning. And if you guys want to see part 1, I'm going to leave a link up here and you can check it out. So these questions come from Instagram. The first video, it was YouTube. So the first question I see says, thanks for taking our questions. Do you ever use coupons? I don't. The idea of couponing for some reason just seems so overwhelming, and so I've never done it. I know that people can get all this stuff for free and like diapers and all this and I don't know how they do it. The few times I've kind of dabbled in it a little bit, I get very overwhelmed and I just I'm like, nope, I don't think that's gonna work for me. I have a tendency to do that. Like if I can't figure it out in 15 minutes, like I'm moving on to the next thing. So I don't use coupons. I do like to do the price matching with Walmart because they give you that money back in an e-gift card. And that's really simple. You just look at ads at other grocery stores, and if it's an item that you're gonna buy anyway, you know, I buy it or I try to stock up on it, and then again I get that cash back from the Walmart savings catchers. So I do that, but not coupons. I've never really been big on that. I would love to if I could actually ever figure it out and it not take me forever. But no, I don't coupon. Next question is, what are your go-to cheap and easy meals? So I love to make tacos at home. I think I mentioned that in the first video, because it's just a pound of ground beef, which, you know, I get it for $3 through Zaycon Fresh, and then some taco shells, which I get for like $1. So it's like $4 or less for an entire meal. And so I love that. Other little things like sloppy joes are really easy, and you know, you can make it healthier, like a healthier version of that. And obviously like things like spaghetti, that kind of gets old, but they're like right now a meal that we're really into is like burrito bowls or baked potatoes, things like that are really filling, that kind of are like a cheaper filler, like rice or potatoes, you know, that fill it up for the most part, and you can kind of get more for your money. So I really like that. Next question is pros and cons of weekly versus monthly shopping. So that's a good question. So monthly shopping was great whenever the twins were little and I didn't really want to have to like think about food and grocery shopping and all that stuff. So I created a system that worked as far as planning for the entire month, just kind of like go-to meals that we would have, go out to eat, things that we were doing that month. I would just create a list of, you know, meals. I would put in an order through the Walmart grocery pickup. Before they had that service, I would have to go to the store and actually, you know, physically, you know, go through the aisles and buy it all, which that was kind of exhausting, but I knocked out the entire month. And so that was really great, just kind of having a plan for the entire month and, you know, like not really having to think about it. The con though was that something I started to notice with myself is that the first 2 weeks were really great because we had all this food and meals and things like that, but just as life is, you know, things would change and we would realize, oh, we have to go do this, or I don't really feel like eating this tonight, and so we'd start mixing up the meals and things start just kind of getting kind of unorganized, and I hate a messy fridge and a messy pantry. And so like halfway through the month I would find myself like going in there and like going through the food and trying to like salvage, like, oh, I forgot this 5-pound bag of grapes that I bought, you know, at the beginning of the month, and it's been in the back of the fridge and I forgot about it. So we would try to, you know, eat through that real quick, so we wouldn't waste food. So I started to notice that for me personally, I just wasn't doing a very good job staying organized, and I hate food waste. It's something I used to really struggle with just throwing away all this food that would go bad before we would have a chance to eat it. So for me, that's why another big reason why I switched to weekly grocery shopping is because I want to keep a more tidy fridge and pantry. I want to be able to buy food and consume it within a reasonable amount of time and not let things go bad, and just kind of save more on top of the groceries, because when I would buy so much at the beginning of the month, again, things would just get messy and kind of lost in the chaos. And so there's definitely a benefit to monthly shopping and weekly shopping. Just right now where we're doing weekly shopping, and I have been really loving it. I feel like I'm being more efficient with our food, with sales that are going on like at local grocery stores that I'm comparing, like price matching with Walmart. I just feel like it's a much more efficient way for us to shop right now. Okay, so what is your go-to place to find new recipes? How often do you try a new recipe? So my go-to place is something like Pinterest. I don't necessarily find a ton of recipes on Pinterest though. It's more just for like motivation, and then if I find something that I'm like, oh, that kind of sounds good, I'll go to allrecipes.com, because that's the place where it's like, that's where I get like all my recipes, is allrecipes.com. But I'll go to Pinterest for inspiration, and then like I usually will find like a better recipe on allrecipes.com. How often do we try a new recipe? Not that often, because I've mentioned this a million times. It's something I'm working on. I'm not a very good cook. I tend to screw things up more than I do, like, you know, like just recently I found a recipe for Philly cheesesteak sloppy joes, and they were really good. They were a hit, and it's not often that I find a recipe like that everyone actually really likes. And again, because I mentioned this in the first video, a lot of times it's a total fail. And so I'll find a recipe where I'm like, oh, this sounds really good for, it was Salisbury steak casserole. I mean, that sounds good, right? Well, the recipe I found was just awful. Like, it smelled like dog food. It looked like dog food. It was one of those, like, as I'm scooping it out of the pan onto the dish, I'm kind of looking at it like, ugh, like, what did I do wrong? Like, I was trying to figure it out, and I'm like, it's just, I don't know. It was just awful. And so I don't really try recipes too often, just because of things like that. Matt has even joked that whenever I have something new, like on our meal plan, he calls it experimental dinner night, and those never turn out good. So I'm trying to be better about, I guess, just being more selective with certain, like with recipes that I find. But in my defense, it's like, you don't know if something's good until you try it. So it might sound good, but then you make it and it's awful. So not very often is my answer to that. How do you decide your budget, by person or percentage? It's more of just demand, I think. You know, our budget for groceries was always within like the $500 range. Now that the twins are here, it's more like $650, $700, just because I also include like diapers and wipes and formula and things like that. So it's not, I don't really go off of a percentage or like per person type thing. It's just more of like what we've been doing for the last few years, what works for us. I know some people can feed a family of 10 for $200 a month. I don't know how they do that, but for us, again, just because of like toiletry items, which is also included in our grocery budget, like shampoo, toilet paper, you know, shaving cream, things like that, as well as like groceries. Right now, like I said, it's around $650 a month, if not more. Again, it's something I'm always working to reduce, but I don't necessarily have like a system in place as far as like, oh, well, 5 people equals $500 a month or anything like that. It's just more of what I know reality is for us and what we go through and how much it costs. Which stores do you go to, and do you plan weekly or monthly? How often do you go grocery shopping? So my go-to stores right now are definitely Walmart. I love Walmart grocery pickup. I have just been loving that, especially whenever I was pregnant with the twins and recovering from a C-section and having the twins. The grocery pickup has just been such a lifesaver for me. So definitely Walmart. I love their Great Value brand. I feel like it's very affordable. I love the quality of it. I think it's awesome. I will buy anything and everything Great Value unless they just don't carry that specific thing. Also, I shop at Costco. I was on the fence for a while on whether or not I would renew my membership, but the more I've been thinking about it, there is a lot of stuff that I get at Costco. And as the twins and Connor continue to grow and they continue to eat more, I definitely see a need for like a bulk store membership. I do want to check out Sam's. I have a few more weeks with my Costco membership, so I want to see if Sam's will also work, or you know, and replace Costco, or I might stick with Costco, I'm not sure. So Walmart and Costco, and then I also go to Aldi every now and then just to pick up some stuff. But Aldi is not necessarily cheaper than Walmart, so I find myself just kind of going to Walmart more. But Aldi is great if I just need to get like eggs or milk or something that I, you know, forgot to buy, because it's right around the corner for me. I'm in and out real quick. And it's super easy to go to. Okay, so the last question is, I'd love to know your go-to meals that are easy, inexpensive, but also reasonably healthy. So I guess the first meal that comes to my mind is sloppy joes, because typically I make it with turkey, with ground turkey, and I'll use like the super lean turkey, like the 97.3, where it's like no fat, no flavor, like no nothing. Like you don't even have to drain it because there's like nothing in it. And so it's like super low fat. And then Manwich mix actually is really, really low in fat also. I want to say it's like 0%, but I have to double check that. And it also has like a serving of vegetables, like per serving of, you know, sloppy joe. So if you use it with turkey and again the sloppy joe mix, it's a really low fat, healthy meal. Of course you could push it even further and have it like on a whole grain hamburger bun. I like the classic, you know, cheapy white buns, but we also bake like some tater tots and have some fruit with it. Super good, super low fat, very filling. The lean, super lean turkey is a little bit more expensive, but you know, it makes a lot. I usually can get 2 meals out of 1 container of turkey meat because you're only supposed to use like 3/4 of a cup instead of like the entire package. So it's usually like half. So you can get 2 meals out of it. Something else that we really like, I've mentioned this a few times, but tacos, like I'm really into tacos lately. So just a taco kit. You can make your own taco seasoning at home if you want. It's like super simple, or you can buy like a package of taco seasoning with some ground beef or ground turkey. That's really cheap and inexpensive. Beans is another good thing that you can add to a lot of dishes to kind of like fill them up. So we've really been into like pinto beans lately because they're really good for the twins and for us and our hearts and, you know, arteries and all that stuff. And so I've been adding a lot of pinto beans to dishes again to kind of fill them up. Something else that I love is chicken meatloaf because I add a ton of vegetables like celery and onions and carrots, and I'll saute them to kind of cook them down a little bit and add it to the chicken meatloaf because it like doubles the meatloaf. It makes it really light and fluffy and it's so good. And the chicken's lean and you have a lot of veggies kind of hidden in there. Of course you can add more if you like, but it just makes for a really light meatloaf and it's super tasty, and again it doubles the recipe. So that's another one that we really, really love. And I also have a recipe video on that if you guys want to check that out. I highly recommend it. In fact, I'm gonna have chicken meatloaf on our menu next week. It is so good. Like if you guys like meatloaf, try it the way I make it because of course it's the best. No, it's really good. I used to not like meatloaf as much when I would use ground beef, but one day I had some ground chicken, so I was like, oh, I bet this will work too, and I made it that way, and I was like, this is really good. So definitely check out that video. Okay, next question is, hi, love your channel, thank you. My husband and I are also on Dave Ramsey's plan, steps 4 through 6. Awesome. Question, how do you meal plan, or how do you plan your grocery budget? We have a set amount each month, however, it makes some months tricky. For example, in June, he won't get paid until the 8th, so should his paycheck from the 25th be used partially for that first week of June? Yeah, so I mean, you always want to have like a little bit of an overage from, because you have like things like that are tricky. Like for example, for us, at the very beginning of the month, we have like on the 5th, our cell phone bill is due. So obviously we have to use money from the previous month, or previous paycheck to cover that first, you know, bill, as well as like groceries and things like that. So yeah, you always want to have money just kind of set aside for like those, like you said, it's kind of like tricky where it's, you know, he doesn't get paid until the beginning or the middle of next month. You always want to have some money just kind of set aside for that. So for like right now for us, for example, we're grocery shopping weekly. So when Matt gets paid or when I get paid like through YouTube or other, you know, sources, we'll use those funds to pay for, you know, up until he gets paid again, if that makes sense. So you always want to have cash on reserve. You know, not like sometimes people budget so strictly when it comes to when they get paid, and they don't want to like have any kind of like overlapping times where paychecks from last month pay for this month, you know, but sometimes you do have to kind of overlap it, you know, to make sense for you and your situation and when you get paid. But for us, like we always have a certain reserved like amount set aside for little oddities like that, just kind of like a miscellaneous category, because then it always kind of pushes through until like the next month. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I did a very good job explaining that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I answered your questions. If you have any more, please leave them in a comment below, and I'll try to answer them. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.